Hello, everybody. And this is my presentation, my midterm presentation for Psyche and Cosmos 1, class taught by Becca Tarnas, and I am Julia Yusupova. For this class, we were encouraged to choose a concept that intimidates us. And so I have chosen to focus on the aspect of archetypal astrology that deals with predicting potential events and energies for the future. One way to identify certain potentialities is to analyze some of the more special and rare future planetary alignments in terms of their archetypal meanings. Because of this, I've chosen to analyze an upcoming minor grand trine, which will involve all three transpersonal outer planets, while also implicating a few other interesting alignments within it as well. So the pattern I'm going to focus on is a world transit, as opposed to a personal transit or a natal aspect, which archetypal astrology also studies. World transits are the oldest form of astrological observation, arising out of ancient Mesopotamian and Egyptian origins. They are geometrical relationships formed by the positions of planets relative to the whole Earth, versus just the individual's birth chart. Every such planetary aspect formed correlates to certain traditional archetypal meanings. Richard Tarnas, along with Stanislav Grof, found significant correlations between numerous world events and world transits throughout history, specifically the long-term cyclical alignments of the outer planets. The outer planets of the solar system, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are visible only through the telescope and not with the naked eye. They are aptly named the transpersonal planets. And here are some of the more common traditional archetypal meanings of each of these planets. Feel free to stop the video and read through them. Having introduced these three key planets, as we now look at an upcoming triangular alignment of all three of these, in between 2024 and 2028, there will be a Uranus-Neptune-Pluto triangle known as the Minor Grand Trine. It is composed of a Neptune-Pluto sextile, a Uranus-Neptune sextile, and a Pluto-Uranus trine, all soft aspects. Research shows that the soft aspects are usually less dynamically evident, or visibly correlated to observed events. But I think this particular alignment is a little more complex and special. First of all, it's not just between a pair of planets, but all three transpersonal planets are involved and interconnected. We might even call this the soft version of what Richard Tarnas calls the Great Axial Alignment. These were the hard aspects formed by the three outer planets, which in the past have coincided with massive worldwide paradigm shifts and awakenings of new knowledge and spirituality. There are also other interesting details to this minor grand trine. Let's now analyze the meanings of each side of the triangle. And here, once again, are the more commonly observed manifestations. Once again, feel free to stop the video if you need to read through them. Overall, it seems we might expect to see signs of some kind of a collective change from this alignment. Although perhaps it might not be as drastic and radical as prior revolutions and paradigm shifts, which took place under axial alignments of the same planets, because only soft aspects are involved in this one. On the other hand, we might see some manifestations, though perhaps on a smaller and less intense scale. Technically, the triangle will be under a wide orb from 2022 to 2029, but it will move into three exact triangles between 2025 and 2027. The first one will be the most important one, and it will take place between August 20th, 2025 and September 14th, 2025. All Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus will be at 1 degrees of their signs, with Neptune in the middle, crowning the triangle. This makes it what's known as a transiting midpoint. Transiting midpoints themselves are rare and happen only 2 to 3 times per century. On top of that, they are usually taken up by either Uranus or Pluto. The fact that Neptune is a transiting midpoint this time is an event that happens only every 500 years. So this adds to the special rarity of this alignment. Now, this is something that could intensify the soft aspect triangle, and that is the Neptune-Saturn conjunction that is also happening between 2024 and 2027. So here, Saturn, which is the last non-transpersonal planet, otherwise known as an interpersonal planet, is forming a hard aspect to the transiting midpoint Neptune. In fact, it seems to be like a bridge that could then funnel transpersonal energies into the more personal realm. The fact that in the first exact triangle, this conjunction is also happening within 1 degree of Aries at the start of the sign of the leader and forward movement is also a very auspicious sign. It seems like the universe is giving some kind of a green light for going ahead or moving of some energy or channeling of this transpersonal energy into the more personal realm. Likewise, all 4 planets will be at 1 degrees, with Saturn being nearly 1 degree, close enough at 0 degrees. So this gives a kind of angel number, 1111 or 1111, which might be another spiritual sign for us to pay attention. I also see a kind of alchemical combination of elements in these 4 planets. Neptune is traditionally associated with water. Uranus, being renamed as Prometheus, is associated with fire. Pluto can be associated with air because a phoenix that dies and is reborn ascends, flies into the air. And rebirth and ascension themselves have to do with immateriality. Finally, Saturn adds groundedness and earthiness. In alchemy, the combination of the 4 elements were said to produce the elusive 5th element, or the coveted philosopher's stone. Now, Neptune and Saturn in conjunction give us the archetypal meaning of focus, concentration, deep insight, and psychological reflection, hard work and service to spiritual dimensions, and a serious study of psychology and such. In the most positive case, the Saturnian hard aspect could either vivify the otherwise mild, soft aspects of the triangle, or perhaps add some grounding energy to the negative Neptunian tendencies of illusion or delusion. Although, of course, we can't predict the exact outcomes of this manifestation. And research shows there is a tendency for Saturn in hard aspects to contract the other planets' energies. But we have to consider also that Saturn will then sextile both Pluto and Uranus as well. Tarnas attributes the hard aspects of Saturn-Pluto to pretty heavy events like wars and epidemics, and Saturn-Uranus ones to cultural wars and clashes of perspectives of all kinds. Yet once again, might all of these intense energies be somehow softened by the fact that here these Saturnian alignments will be forming sextiles? With so many interactions of these outer planets, it will surely be fascinating to observe how exactly this triangle will play out. Furthermore, by analyzing its aspects to our natal charts, we might note some further transits that could affect each one of us personally. Yet another fascinating detail is that 5 days into the exact triangle, the first exact triangle, Venus and Moon will also join the party, forming these additional aspect patterns one over another. So we don't only just have a minor grand trine, now it becomes a kite, a mystic rectangle, and an envelope, all in one. It really seems as if the universe is sending us a message, like a kite or a letter, with all these synchronized alignments forming one system. While the planets of the minor grand trine take place in the signs of Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini, which are all considered to be masculine signs, the addition of feminine planets of Venus and Moon, the first also in the feminine sign of Cancer, seems to highlight a kind of gendered balance. So overall, a lot of interesting patterns surrounding the minor grand trine, and it will be one to watch. But I haven't really yet solved my initial problem of prediction. We know we might perhaps observe some kind of a collective change with regards to the listed planetary archetypes, but what exactly? For this, I now turn to my personal experiences that coincided in time with me reading about this minor grand trine. So for the past year, I've observed a series of experiences involving the archetype of the ghost. First, one night at a park, as you see the picture on the left here, I was spooked by this coyote decoy, and I mistook it for a ghost. Later, I was explained by some friends who know the park that it was only a decoy for scaring wild animals. But I understood that the archetype of the coyote trickster was still in this experience, because I was nevertheless fooled into thinking I had seen a ghost. In his book Synchronicity, Alan Colmes identifies the coyote trickster as a primary symbol of synchronicity. 2 days later, at my work as a bus driver, someone put this combination lock, as you see in the picture on the right, on the cord for requesting stops on my bus. I kept hearing the bell ring for a stop on an empty bus. And once again, I thought I was hearing a ghost because nobody was on my bus, only to figure out that someone played another trick on me. The same weekend was actually the big geomagnetic storm that resulted in people all over the world taking and posting pictures of the aurora borealis on social media. This was one of the images that I found, which reminded me of a ghost emoji popping up from behind a tree. Finally, on October 15th, 2024, I discovered this news release by CERN with the headline, Physicists Capture Elusive 4D Ghost in CERN Particle Accelerator. The article goes on to describe that these scientists have mapped out an extra-dimensional resonance, which can otherwise be described as this extra-dimensional immaterial virtual field that directs the paths of physical particles in experiments. Having studied physics and extra-dimensionality as it relates to archetypal experiences for many years now, I found this to be momentous news for the shifting paradigm in science, which is moving out of materialism. This discovery seems to me to present the type of knowledge symbolized by the philosopher's stone itself. This is when it became clear to me why the ghost archetype has appeared to me so many times this year. And being that I was reading about the minor grand trine synchronistically around the same time as I came to this insight about the ghost seriality, I can't help but wonder if this minor grand trine will perhaps have something to do with advances in this new paradigm science. So in conclusion, I think this represents the best method to base possible predictions of future archetypal energies. The information in astrological aspects has to be supplemented by relevant information from personal experience, whether it's something numinous or otherwise somehow noteworthy of attention. Of course, what actually transpires under the minor grand trine next August remains to be seen. And here's just another picture from just a few days ago when me and my friends went to a Halloween party. And surprisingly, my friend Shannon just happened to wear a ghost costume. Thanks so much for your attention.